Hi, I'm Deliza. I'm the marketing director at Horizon Media in Manhattan, with a corner office overlooking Central Park and a salary that finally matches my ambition. I should be celebrating my success with my family, but the truth is, I haven't been to a family reunion in 5 years, despite living just 2 hours away from my hometown. I was scrolling through Instagram last month when I saw it. Photos of my entire extended family at our annual summer barbecue. Uncle Miguel flipping burgers, Aunt Mariella with her famous potato salad, my sister Vanessa sitting right next to my dad, and even my cousins from California who rarely make it east. Everyone was there. Everyone except me. I called my cousin Jamie immediately. We'd been close growing up, and I figured she'd give me the real story. Hey, Deliza, what's up? Haven't heard from you in forever? Why wasn't I invited to the family barbecue? The silence on the other end was deafening. What are you talking about? Uncle Robert said you couldn't make it. Something about a big presentation for work. I gripped my phone tighter. I never got an invitation, Jamie. I didn't even know it was happening. That's weird. Uncle Robert specifically told everyone you were too busy with your fancy New York life to come home for the weekend. My blood was boiling. This isn't the first time, is it? Another pause. Now that you mention it, you've missed the last few gatherings. Uncle Robert always has some excuse about why you can't make it. I thought back to all the holiday photos, birthday celebrations, and family milestones I'd seen online over the years. The reunions I was never invited to, the memories I wasn't allowed to be part of. Jamie, tell me the truth. Has my dad been keeping me away from family gatherings on purpose? I don't know if I should say this, but I overheard him talking to Aunt Elena once. He said something about how having you around makes Vanessa feel bad about herself. That hit like a punch to the gut, but it made perfect sense. Growing up, Vanessa was always the golden child. When I got straight A's, Dad would ask why I wasn't participating in more extracurriculars like my sister. When I landed a scholarship to Columbia, he mentioned how Vanessa was finding her own path at community college. Nothing I did was ever good enough, while Vanessa's mediocrity was celebrated. Thanks for being honest, Jamie. I appreciate it. Are you okay? You sound upset. I'm fine, just processing. I wasn't fine. I was furious. Hey, do you still have Aunt Mariella's number? I think it's time I had a chat with her. Sure, I'll text it to you. But Deliza, be careful. Uncle Robert has been controlling the family narrative for years. After we hung up, I sat at my desk, staring at the Manhattan skyline. My dad had been systematically cutting me out of my own family to protect Vanessa's feelings. Well, that ends now. I'm going to uncover exactly how deep this manipulation goes, and then I'm going to make sure everyone knows the truth. I didn't waste any time calling Aunt Mariella. My hands were still shaking as I dialed her number. Deliza? Is that really you? It's been so long, sweetheart. Hey, Aunt Mariella. Sorry for calling out of the blue. Nonsense. I've missed you. We all have. Robert always says you're too caught up in your big city career to visit. I took a deep breath. That's actually why I'm calling. I just found out about the family barbecue from Jamie. I was never invited. The silence on the other end spoke volumes. I had a feeling something wasn't right. You used to love those gatherings. Has this happened before? With other family events? Aunt Mariella sighed heavily. Your father has been making excuses for your absence for years. Christmas, Thanksgiving, birthdays. Always saying you're too busy with your fancy job to bother with family stuff. That's a lie. I've never been invited. I suspected as much. Last Easter, I specifically asked him to tell you about my 60th birthday party. He promised he would, but then told everyone you had some big presentation in Chicago. My blood boiled. I was in New York that whole week. What about Mom? Doesn't she say anything? Elena just goes along with whatever your father says. You know how she is. Peace at any price. I paced around my apartment, trying to process this betrayal. What about Vanessa? Is she part of this too? Your sister's had a rough time since dropping out of community college. She's been living with your parents, working part-time at the mall. I think Robert is overprotective because she struggles while you've done so well. I remembered the last conversation with my father, 3 months ago on his birthday. Not a word about any family gatherings. Does everyone know about my promotion last year? Or my department award? Another telling pause. What promotion, honey? I slumped onto my couch. I'm running the entire digital marketing division now. I sent announcement cards to the house. We never heard a thing. Robert told us you were still in some entry-level position. After talking with Aunt Mariella for another hour, I hung up and immediately called my cousin Marco, who works in IT. Hey, stranger, to what do I owe this rare honor? Cut the crap, Marco. Did you know your uncle has been blocking me from family events? Whoa, slow down. What are you talking about? Dad has been forgetting to invite me to family gatherings for years. That explains why Uncle Robert got so weird when I mentioned stopping by to see you in New York. What do you mean, weird? He pulled me aside and said I shouldn't bother you because you're too good for the family now and don't want reminders of where you came from. I figured you were just being a snob. I was speechless. My own father was poisoning my relationships with everyone. Do me a favor, Marco. Check your email for anything from my dad about me. 20 minutes later, my phone pinged with screenshots. Email after email from Dad to various family members, all with the same theme. Don't bother Delisa. She's too busy with her important life. One to Uncle Miguel specifically asked him not to mention the family reunion to me because Vanessa is finally doing better, and seeing Delisa's success might trigger her depression again. I stared at my phone in disbelief. My own father had been systematically erasing me from the family to protect my sister's feelings. Well, if Dad thought I'd disappear quietly, he was about to learn how wrong he was. I called Jamie immediately after seeing those screenshots from Marco. We need to talk. I have proof Dad's been sabotaging my relationship with the family. I figured as much after our last conversation. What are you going to do about it? Their 40th anniversary party is next month, right? Yeah, big celebration at the Oakwood Country Club. Everyone's gonna be there, including me. How? You know Uncle Robert won't send you an invitation? I explained my idea, and Jamie was all in. We spent the next hour strategizing until we had a solid plan. I'll call Aunt Mariella first thing tomorrow. She's the one handling the guest list, right? Yep, and she's always had a soft spot for you. The next morning, I reached out to Aunt Mariella and laid everything on the table. I need your help, Aunt Mariella. I want to come to the anniversary party, but Dad will try to block it. Say no more, honey. I'll make sure your invitation comes directly from me. He won't be able to intercept it. There's more. I'm collecting evidence of what he's been doing. Do you have any emails or texts where he's made excuses for my absence? I'll forward everything I can find, and I'll talk to Miguel and Lucia too. They've mentioned how strange it was that you never visit. Over the next 2 weeks, I gathered a damning collection of evidence. Emails, texts, and voice messages from family members sharing how Dad had systematically cut me out while blaming me for not showing up. Then, 3 days before the party, my phone rang with my parents' number. Delisa, it's your father. Hello, Dad. Mariella tells me you're coming to our anniversary party. That's right. Look, maybe I should have been better about including you in family events. Sometimes I forget you might want to be involved with family stuff, since you're so busy with your career. I gripped the phone tighter. Is that an apology? I'm just saying I might have made some mistakes, but you know how fragile Vanessa is. Seeing you succeed when she's struggling, it's hard for her. So it's my fault for being successful? That's not what I meant. Look, if you come to the party, just don't talk about your job or your fancy apartment, okay? For your sister's sake. Goodbye, Dad. I hung up and immediately called Jamie. He just tried to apologize without actually apologizing. Classic Uncle Robert? Are we still moving forward with the plan? Absolutely. Can you help me put together a slideshow? I've been gathering family photos from the events I missed. On it. What about the presentation? I've been working on it all week. It's subtle. Just a beautiful tribute to family memories. But anyone paying attention will notice I'm missing from the last 5 years of photos. The night before the party, I practiced my speech one last time. packed the evidence into a neat folder, and loaded my presentation onto a flash drive. As I drove to my hometown the next morning, I felt surprisingly calm. 5 years of being erased was about to end. I pulled into the Oakwood Country Club parking lot, smoothed my dress, and walked toward the entrance with my head held high. As I walked into the ballroom, heads turned. Jamie rushed over and squeezed my hand. "You ready for this?" I nodded, scanning the room until I spotted Dad and Mom greeting guests near the cake. Vanessa hovered nearby, wearing a dress that probably cost more than her monthly rent. When Dad finally noticed me, his face went pale. "What are you doing here?" he hissed, pulling me aside. "Celebrating my parents' anniversary like everyone else?" Aunt Mariella clinked her glass for attention. "Before we cut the cake, Delisa has prepared a special tribute for Robert and Elena." Dad tried to intervene. "That's not necessary." "Let her speak," Uncle Miguel said firmly. "We haven't heard from Delisa in years." I connected my laptop to the projector and began. "I've put together some family memories to celebrate today." The slideshow began with childhood photos, then family gatherings through the years. As we reached the 5-year mark, my absence became obvious. Photos where I should have been, celebrations I'd missed. As you can see, I've been missing from family events for 5 years. Not because I was too busy, as you were told, but because I was never invited. Dad stood up. "This isn't the time or place." "Actually, it's exactly the right time," Marco interrupted. "We all deserve to know why you've been lying to us." I pulled out the folder of evidence. "I have emails and texts proving my father deliberately excluded me from family events while telling you all I was too busy or didn't care." Vanessa suddenly shot up from her seat. "Oh my God, it's always about you. So what if Dad protected me a little? You got everything. The grades, the scholarship, the fancy job. What did I get? Nothing." "You got our parents' support and love," I replied calmly. "I got erased." Mom looked stricken. "Robert, is this true? You told me Delisa knew about these gatherings." Before Dad could answer, Aunt Mariella stood up. "I've known something was wrong for years. Robert always had excuses for why Delisa couldn't make it, but they never felt right." "He told me not to mention family events to you," Uncle Miguel added. "Said it would just make you feel bad about missing them due to work." Cousin Lucia joined in. "He discouraged me from visiting you in New York. Said you were embarrassed by us." The room erupted with similar stories. With each revelation, Dad seemed to shrink smaller in his chair. Vanessa stormed out, slamming the door behind her. "I never wanted to cause a scene," I said finally. "I just wanted to be included in my own family." Dad couldn't meet my eyes. Mom looked devastated, caught between her husband and daughter. After that day, things changed dramatically. Dad and Vanessa became the excluded ones, with family members keeping their distance. Mom called weekly, trying to rebuild our relationship without Dad's interference. 6 months later, I hosted a gathering in my apartment. Jamie, Marco, Aunt Mariella, Uncle Miguel, and a dozen other relatives filled my living room. Even Mom came, though she arrived alone. "To family," Jamie toasted, raising her glass. "The ones we choose." I looked around at the people who had chosen me, even when my own father hadn't. They were all the family I needed. "To family," I echoed, finally home. What would you have done in Delisa's position? Was she right to publicly expose her father at the anniversary celebration? Or should she have confronted him privately first? Would you have forgiven Robert and Vanessa, or cut them off completely like Delisa did? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your take on family loyalty versus standing up for yourself. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to see more compelling stories about overcoming toxic relationships. New videos every day.